Breaking news out of Chattanooga, the shooting deaths of 4 Marines. Federal officials say they're treating this as a terror attack. Tonight, what we're learning about the gunman and his background and how the city is dealing with this trauma. ABC's senior national correspondent Jim Avila has our report on the Marines targeted, an act of domestic terrorism.
The crackle of gunfire from a deadly rampage in Chattanooga, Tennessee, where a lone shooter killed 4 Marines in a hail of bullets, injuring at least 3 more.
Today is a nightmare for the city of Chattanooga.
The harrowing ordeal began at 10:45 a.m. A man in a silver Ford Mustang convertible, his top down, drove into this strip mall. There are offices here for all branches of the military.
He just pulled up, and next thing you know, he lifted up his arms like this with a big black gun, and it was one shot, and then it was just endless shots.
The shooter fired dozens of rounds. 1 Marine was hit in the leg.
We heard a loud pop, and so the owner of the salon and I went to the window to see what was going on.
But within seconds, the gunman took off, racing 7 miles down the highway to a Navy Reserve support center. He entered and started shooting again, killing those 4 Marines.
All units responding. We're all units responding. We're carrying this as a mass casualty incident.
Police descend on the scene, and a firefight breaks out. They shoot the gunman dead.
Somebody brutally and brazenly attacked members of our armed services, and that officers of the Chattanooga Police Department and the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office responded immediately, and they were able to make sure that no further loss of life happened.
At this point, Chattanooga is in crisis. Authorities put hospital emergency rooms and local colleges on lockdown. But 30 minutes after the first shots were fired, it is all over.
This is a sad day for the United States. These service members served their country with pride, and they have been the victims of these shootings. We are conducting this as an act of domestic terrorism.
Authorities have identified the suspect as Mohammod Youssuf Abdulazeez, born in Kuwait and shown here in a mugshot from a drunk driving arrest earlier this year. The 24-year-old was an electrical engineer with a good-paying job. He was an avid wrestler, seen here competing in an amateur mixed martial arts event. In 2012, he graduated from the University of Tennessee, his mom proudly posting these photos on Facebook.
We're going to look at the shooter. We're going to do an intense look at him to see if what his connections are. We'll look at his friends, families, associates, anybody who is associated with him to determine the cause or the reason why he conducted this attack.
Kagan Wagner, a friend of the suspect from high school, was shocked to learn he was behind the ruthless killings.
You would have never thought that it would be this kid, this good-hearted, all-American, great, friendly, outgoing kid would hurt and kill several people.
His former high school teacher just as surprised.
Until you got to know him, he seemed kind of serious, but the more that I had him in class, he turned out to be just a cut-up. I mean, he was a joker all the time.
Sources tell ABC News the young man was not under active surveillance by the FBI, a classic so-called lone wolf. The suspect wrote in his 2008 high school yearbook that my name causes national security alerts. What does yours do?
It is a very, very tricky game for law enforcement with lone wolves as to actually know that A, they are there, and B, more importantly, that they're going to launch an attack.
Local police and FBI, desperate for clues, are scouring his home in nearby Hickson, Tennessee, and the silver Mustang he abandoned at the scene. Authorities are also investigating if Abdulazeez was inspired by ISIS or another terrorist organization.
It is a huge concern. It probably is the biggest concern to law enforcement as far as terrorism is concerned day to day in the United States.
As recently as this last weekend, and going back a year, ISIS has been urging its followers in the U.S. to attack uniformed police and military in this country. The group posted photos and home addresses of more than 100 active duty soldiers, saying, "What are you waiting for? Kill them in their own land."
What we are increasingly seeing are individuals who may be motivated by the ideology of a terrorist group, may be inspired by their social media campaigns, but are acting independent of those terrorist organizations. And that is not a threat that our intelligence capabilities, as robust as they are, our counterterrorism capabilities, as robust as they are, were designed to address.
Today's attack is eerily reminiscent of past mass shootings that targeted domestic military sites. In 2013, a lone gunman killed 12 people in the Washington Navy Yard. And just last year, 4 people were killed during a rampage at Fort Hood in Texas.
Senator, all units supervised. We have an active shooter currently on Fort Hood.
It was the second attack at the base. 13 people were gunned down there in 2009. In the wake of yet another senseless mass shooting, the nation is on edge and in mourning.
It is a heartbreaking circumstance for these individuals who have served our country with great valor to be killed in this fashion.
One of the injured, that Navy sailor, is in critical condition. And how many of these makeshift memorials have we seen? Too many. And tonight, it's Chattanooga, Tennessee that mourns. Dan?
Jim, thank you, and we will have much more on this breaking story first thing in the morning on GMA.